Hello, this is Crypto CJ, and today is my January 2024 update video to prepare you to attend my Monday and Friday Zoom calls. The last time I did one of these was 2 years ago, and my trading approach has changed considerably. I'm more into short-term swing trading than I used to be, so I'm going to talk about that, different chart setups for day trading, 5-minute, 15-minute time frames, 1 hour, and all those kind of things wrapped up. What I'm not going to talk about, at least not very much, are my information sources. If you've attended my Monday and Friday Zoom calls, you know that I primarily use Altcoin Alert, also iCoinPro, some basic chart sorts, and some other information sources like Crypto Bubbles, Crypto Gecko, and some of those free sources that just tell you what the market's been doing that day, but my primary altcoin alert. So without further ado, I will share my screen and we'll get ready for 2024. Okay, so this is an Ethereum chart. I'm on the 5-minute because it's the first thing I do. When I choose a coin to follow, then I'm going to see if I can find a quick 1, 2, 3 dip. I've done many videos on the 1, 2, 3 dip, so if you want to check that out, go to some of my past videos. I'll go over it briefly here. On the Bollinger Bands, again, my basic setup I've discussed in other videos. I'm going to link my basic setup video that I did a couple years ago in the description. So if you're starting from scratch, you've never done a chart on TradingView before, that will help you do something like what you're seeing now. So I'm looking for a squeeze of the Bollinger Bands and then a bubble out. I've got that here. I'm looking for 1, 2, 3 dips, and then I'm getting in right on this candle here. So probably in this vicinity, I would have gotten in, and I'm looking to get, for me, I'm just looking for 1% on my day trades. I'm looking to, and I trade on leverage. So I'm going to trade on 10x leverage and get that 1% and pile up those 10% wins as much as I can. If you're trading on spot, if you're new, then you may want to go for a larger move. So maybe 3 to 5%. And we're going to look at our charts to help us determine where that is. I mean, I see resistance right up here. And I've got a tool to help you find that. It's the supply and demand visible range. This is a Lux Algo free indicator. You can find that here. Click on indicators, type in supply and demand, and it'll come up. And then put a star by it if it's something you think you want to keep using. So according to this, I've got resistance here at around 2282. So that trade would be 2%, a pretty good mover for Ethereum, which is the second largest volume coin in all of crypto. Okay, so I've added the supply and demand visible range. It's showing resistance here at around 2280. So that would be my goal probably on a spot trade. That would be about 2% move. That's a pretty good move for Ethereum. Now I did, excuse me, I did get my 1% right here. And that took about 4.5 hours. I have not gone up 2% yet, so I'd still be in that trade. So that's from yesterday, and it's gone against me. Had I stayed in that in the spot trade, and I would probably buy another position, which we call ladder buying. So that's something else you need to figure out. When you're starting to trade, you need to figure out what kind of trader are you? Are you a short-term trader like day trading like I am? Or do you want to hold, maybe you have a full-time job, a busy family life. You want to hold trades longer. It's impractical for you to day trade. So you hold your trades 2, 3, 4 days. That's more of a short-term swing trade, or maybe a long-term swing trade. You hold your trades for weeks or months, but you're not holding forever is the point. So we'll get to swing trading a little later. So at this point, you figure out what kind of trader you are, what strategies you're going to use, and what do you do when something goes against you. You can use stop losses. Say on this 5-minute trade, you could put a stop loss down here, down below the green zone. You can do that on a 15-minute chart, which we'll go to shortly, or some longer term charts as well. The stop loss will trigger in if it goes against you, and then you just take that loss and you figure you're going to lose sometimes, maybe even most of the time. Some traders I know lose most of the time, but they catch big wins. So that's an approach, not something I care to do, but I know people who do that. So you have to figure out whether you want to, or you can do additional purchases called ladder buying. Again, I have several videos on that subject. I'll go ahead and link one of those in the description so you can look at that strategy. Tends to work better in bull markets on the long side. So, okay, that's a brief overview of what I would do on a 5-minute chart. But most of what I do is set alerts on 15-minute charts. And I go over this in quite a bit of detail on my Zoom calls. So I've taken off the supply and demand, and I'm going to focus now on the RTI and the cumulative delta, which are two indicators I've been using to help me facilitate day trades. You can find those up here on the indicators. They're free. Type in RTI. It's Relative Trend Index by Zierman. Click that one, and that will go ahead and set that up on your chart. And your cumulative delta the same way. Now, the good news is I'm going to put links to my charts in the description so you don't have to do these. You can share your charts this way, right click, save it, copy the link, and then you send that link to whoever you want. And that's what I'm going to do with this chart, so you'll have it. So again, I'm going to show you how to set alerts on the RTI and how to use the cumulative delta to evaluate trades on my Monday and Friday Zooms. I'll go over it briefly now. There's a few different ways to use the RTI. One of my favorites is what it's about to do now. It's dipped below this 20 value and it's coming back. So I love dips and retraces. That's my favorite way to trade. And you can set an alert on this, right click on it. And crossing up on the 20. And you can do that once per bar close. I use once per bar close because I tend to leave my alerts on, throughout the day, usually from about 7 or 8 a.m. to, 7 or 8 p.m. And so when those alerts trigger, I can evaluate the trade and see if I want to take it. There's other ways to use the 50 and the 100 value or the 80 value as well. I'm not going to go over those right now. Try to keep this video reasonably short. And then I look at the cumulative delta to tell me the strength of the move. And we got a nice move here. This is a really good example. So we got 4 green candles on the cumulative delta. That tells me that the buying action is strong. So once this crosses, which could happen in the next 2 minutes, that would be a trade I would seriously consider taking. Okay. And then my final evaluation is going to be the supply and demand visible range I talked about on the 5-minute chart. I want something that's either approached or gone through the green zone and coming back up on a long, and then something like this on a short that's gone through the red zone and coming back. So that's how I do my day trades on the 15-minute chart using the supply and demand visible range, RTI, and cumulative delta. These will change. Probably I'll do another update in a year or two, and I may be using different things. I've got a video like the one I did 2 years ago. I was using the RSI, I believe, and the MACD, and I've had success with this approach using these indicators on my manual trading. So that's all I have for my day trading approach. Next, we're going to talk about swing trading, short-term swing trading. So that's a different layout for me. This I call my day RTI 15-minute alert, or not alert, but layout. and I can go to the 5-minute, 10-minute, 30, whatever I want. And in my video from a few years ago, I talk about how to line these up and add these. And so you can refer to that video to learn that, how to do that. Okay, let's go over to my swing trading approach. And I'm borrowing some of this from her name is Annie. She is the day trader / short-term swing trader who's associated with the Crypto Banter group. I've talked about that group before. They're based in South Africa and Australia, and they do daily shows on how to trade and how to evaluate cryptocurrencies in pretty much any time frame. I like Annie because she focuses on what I like to do, which is day trading and short-term swing. So I'm borrowing one of her indicators. This is Annie's ribbon. It's a free indicator on TradingView, and I'll get to that in a minute. You should recognize the supply and demand visible range, which I have on my other chart as well. I don't have any Bollinger Bands or anything like that. And there's a couple ways to catch these trades. I'm going to look for, similar to what I talked about before, something that's come out of the green zone and working its way back up, or something on a long, or a short, something that's been in the red zone and is coming back down. Now, there's a few different ways you can do this. The easiest is the supertrend. This is a pretty popular indicator, and there's a few different ones. I've used both the Kavan and the Everget, and they work pretty similarly. You can mess around with the settings, figure out how you want to use it, click on the gear, and you can mess around with these ATR periods and the multipliers. And if you want to realign any of these as well. Style, I made some changes. I took some things out, but mostly I left it alone. So, and the coolest thing about the supertrend is it's really alert friendly. So in this scenario, it's in a sell. Would I be looking for, I'm way too late for the sell. I'm looking for a buy entry on this. So I can click on supertrend, add an alert. The first one that comes up is the buy. And again, I talk about this in my Zooms quite a bit. Direction change, which I like, so I trade on leverage most of the time. And sell if you just want to short something. So yeah, if you're trading spot, you want to go with the buy. And, you can mess around with these too. And I go over that quite a bit in my Monday and Friday Zoom, so I'm not going to do it here. But that's how you set up the supertrend on a swing trading layout. I'm going to wait for that buy to kick in, that buy alert, and then I will reevaluate. Annie's ribbon is a series of EMAs, exponential moving averages, a bunch of them lined up. The idea is when something changes, like when this green goes to red, when all of them are red, and that's when you may want to consider getting in. I'll put a link to Annie's strategy and how to use this in the description as well. I'm not always that picky. If I see a sell and Annie's ribbon like this, I may just get in. It's coming out of the red zone. So for me, this probably would have gone off here. All of it would have been a red. It's a perfect setup. I would have been in this. And I would have been looking to get out at the green zone, which would have been, right, a little longer actually, around 565 on this. I might still be in that trade. Yeah, it hasn't gone down to 565 yet. So, or maybe I would have looked at some other resistance or some other support areas in this vicinity to determine where I get out. But if you're looking for something easy, you can just use the green and the red zones on your short-term swing trading. And I would have been in this for a day or two, assuming I got out at this green zone, and I'd be thrilled with I would have been at 12%, 13% move on 5x leverage. That's 60%. I love that. A 12% move on spot trading with no leverage is a great trade. If it takes a day or two, that's good stuff. So I think I've covered everything. This is my swing trading approach. And one more thing. I'll take off Annie's ribbon and the super trend. I did a lot of divergence trading in 22 and 23. It was hit and miss. Relying more on the basics. The dips and the retraces have been more productive for me generally, but it means fewer trades. This is the divergence from any indicators, and it can be predictive, but it's also not real accurate. Percentage-wise, maybe 55%. But here's a terrible entry here, a short based on the CMF indicator, and it went sideways and shot up. So if you're in leverage, which you usually are on a short trade, you're going to be liquidated on this. But the rest of these are all pretty good. So if you're trading shorts during a bull market, which one could argue we are in despite today's red, you may want to use a stop loss. If you are trading longs, you could probably get away with more ladder buying techniques. But again, you have to figure out what kind of trader you are, how much risk you want to take, and that can be difficult. I've been trading for 4 years, and I've mostly have it figured out what kind of trader I am, but it's still easy to get emotional. But that's another video for another time. This is my setup. I will put all the links I've referenced in the description. I hope this helps. And I look forward to seeing you guys on my Monday and Friday Zooms. Look forward to a great year in 2024. See you soon. Bye.